School of Management Studies IGNOU presents an audiobook on the course MMPC-007 Business Communication for MBA program. Presenting Block 4 Communication in Organization, Unit-14 Cross-Cultural Communication Part-1. In Part 1, we will discuss Introduction, Characteristics of Culture, Theories of Culture, Cross-Cultural Communication, Hofstede's Cultural Dimension Model.
Unit 14 Cross-Cultural Communication. After studying this unit, you will be able to first understand culture and its constituents. Second, interpret the differences between different cultures. Third, synthesize the strategies for handling cross-cultural communication. Introduction. Culture has a complicated manifestation, especially with the world consisting of nationalities exhibiting cultures that lie on extremes of the continuum of measuring culture. In the present era, when global business activities are indispensable, working with colleagues and or clients from different cultures is commonplace. Irrespective of the industry that you belong to, ability to effectively communicate is the core for modulating businesses. Organizations are located in a world that is interconnected in all manners. The changing norms of operations, workplaces have spread to accommodate remote teams operating in different parts of the globe, catering to a culturally diverse customer base and handling supplier bases from wide range locations. Hence, command on cross-cultural communication offers an edge to organizational supremacy. The most interesting aspect of culture is that even though it has a complex constitution, there is an evident pattern that can be discovered and interpreted. Cultura, the Latin word meaning care of body, predominantly mind, is the source of the present word culture. Culture is a complex compilation of beliefs, customs, law, knowledge, traditions, etc. that a human being acquires while being a member of a particular society. Culture is something we experience by aligning to the people who have been a part of the culture. The most common definitions of culture include music, art, and theatre as the integral parts. Culture could exist in various macro and micro systems, and hence national culture, regional culture, corporate culture, food culture, traditional culture are common terminologies used to reflect the accepted and expected behavioral patterns of people belonging to a society. A macro culture could be constituted of multiple subcultures, like Indian culture is a blend of diverse cultural backgrounds. It can be applied to any human collectivity or category-wise. Culture has a significant impact on our attitudes and actions, not only on how we behave, but how we expect others to behave. For simplicity, the unit will use an operational definition which defines culture as inherent core values of a society promulgated through social interaction and teachings. Characteristics of culture. There are certain characteristics of culture which define it. These are: first, acquired; second, collective; third, value system; fourth, stability; fifth, differentiator; sixth, contextual; seventh, common yet different. Now let us discuss each of these characteristics one by one for better understanding. Acquired. Culture is what we acquire from the individuals already experiencing the culture. These could be family members, teachers, schoolmates, or colleagues in an organization. They are groomed on the basic rules of language, body language, gestures, expressions, as well as usage of slangs. Once acquired and imbibed, it becomes so much part of us, or we are a part of it, that we tend to use it only for differentiating between right or wrong or for better judgmental. Observation is an operative tool in acquiring cultural skills. It is rightly suggested that when you join a new organization or shift to a new housing society or visit a new country, observe how people are doing things. This helps you grasp the prevailing culture there and you can attune yourself faster. This also gives a certain kind of exposure which makes you more broad-minded. Collective. Culture is not a thing that can be separated from people. It is something that thrives within people. It is a common way in which most people think and behave. Since it is collective, hence different countries, regions, places could have drastically different cultures depending upon the collective understanding of the people in that particular culture. There is no right or wrong culture. It becomes what is best accepted by people constituting that culture. This may be something which may or may not be acceptable to people belonging to another culture. Value system. Culture contributes to our value system. We tend to adhere to the core values postulated by our culture. This in turn tunes us to trust a particular set of values. Thus, a group belonging to similar culture holds preeminent values. Individuals respect others who follow the core values as disseminated in the culture. For example, value towards saving versus spending, value of family-oriented behavior, etc. Stability. The core values of culture fundamentally remain the same and stable over long periods of time. Any deviation from the core values may be apprehended. Being a primer for our value system, being something that does not have a form in itself, is largely only shared and has only referential rules. Culture is something which, if changes with time, takes a long time to be imbibed. It requires considerable efforts to change the existing culture, especially when we are doing so towards the betterment of the society. The minor changes in culture does not show a significant change in our core values. The changes in culture take time to be noticed and acknowledged, and cultural consciousness is built over a period of time. Differentiator. Culture operates as a collective set of mindful minds that is a distinguisher between members of one group from those of the other group. It is true that within the group the individuals would have varying characteristics, yet collectively the culture they belong to will significantly vary from other cultures. Contextual. The manifestation of cultures occurs through social actions which in turn experience varying contexts. Even though the context does not change culture, the interpretation or sometimes misinterpretation of culture happens during one of these fluctuating contexts. Since culture is complex and dynamic, there seems to be no method to accurately measure or assess it. There is no precise definition and no form that culture takes. It is represented by people belonging to the culture and interpreted by people belonging to the same or different culture. Thus, the only thing evident is the consequences of culture. Common yet different. There could be some aspects of culture that could be common between certain cultures, and yet there could be demarcated differences. Certain countries sharing the same language may project different cultures and vice versa. This possibly could be due to the reigns through which the country has passed. Certain clusters of countries may project cultures similar to each other, while interpreting cultures in context of communication process and understanding of the history of the country can assist in making the correct interpretations. Theories of culture. Culture is based on how it is perceived. There are commonly three theoretical perspectives in the context of which culture is viewed, viz. Functionalism, conflict theory, and symbolic interactionism. Let us discuss these theories in detail. Functionalist view. Functionalism refers to the perspective of viewing culture as a mode of smoothing the function of the society. Society is a system with its parts working in tandem with each other to create a whole system. Culture offers a bonding to this system. It creates a synergy amongst members of the society and offers a guide for making appropriate choices. Culture also facilitates in classifying the importance laid on various material and non-material aspects of the society. Culture inculcates what is deemed as essential and important for the society. For example, education in the USA. Conflict view. This view suggests that society is constituted of individuals who can be classified on the basis of gender, class, race, age, etc., and hence there is an inequality that is created. According to this view, culture creates a demarcation, sometimes a discrimination for some people because of their value system. Culture in this case operates as a norm, formal or informal, which benefits some people and hurts others. Hence, cultural diversity derived due to this delineation could be based on several fronts, for instance, racism, gender bias, etc. Business culture varies from country to country. For example, business culture in the USA propels profit-seeking as the primary objective of business. On the contrary, Korean and Japanese cultures seek consumer confidence and market share as the primary business objectives. People belonging to these cultures exercise the same sentiment while making decisions and running action plans. Thus, this view of culture promotes conflict of interest between individuals depending on which strata of society they represent. Symbolic view. The proponents of the symbolic view assume culture to be based on the interpretation that people lay on the conversations they initiate. Thus, this view emphasizes face-to-face or one-to-one conversations more while deducing culture. It is suggested that culture evolves with conversations and thus is highly malleable and dynamic. It is interpreted as per the symbolism aligned with it. The people represent objects, individuals and environment during their conversations, and culture develops as a product of the same. Therefore, people belonging to different cultures, regions or organizations will have different cultures because of the various ways in which they use words or symbols. For example, a season in which a large number of people get infected with viral infections is considered to be a bad season from the viewpoint of the medical fraternity due to more load on hospitals and healthcare workers. However, it might be considered as a good season from the point of view of the pharmaceutical industry due to the rise in sale of medicines. The most important factor about this view is that there is nothing like the right view. Cross-cultural communication. Definition of cross-cultural communication. It is the study of understanding the differences and similarities of different cultural groups so as to effectively participate within an organization. In other words, it refers to the adaptations done by the people from different cultural backgrounds to make the communication effective. It is very important to understand the influence of cultural factors in a workplace in the present competitive environment. The better the cross-cultural communication abilities, the better is the work environment, as it will avoid the communication gaps and make the environment congenial. Need for cross-cultural communication. Why is it necessary to understand the concept of cross-cultural communication? It is important for the organizations to understand the communication patterns of employees and the stakeholders to be successful in any business. The ability to adapt, irrespective of cultural values, makes a lot of difference. While communicating with the individuals or groups from varied cultural backgrounds, the transmission of knowledge and the behavior play an important role. It is therefore important to comprehend how culture affects communication, in turn affecting organizational operations. Elements of cross-cultural communication. Many organizations which go through the process of mergers and acquisitions across the globe face the communication gap due to cultural differences. Culture is deeply ingrained in the system. Culture is something which creates a sense of security. The way we portray ourselves to the way we do business, everything has a connection. It therefore becomes pertinent to understand the basic element of cross-cultural communication. These are awareness, preparation, language, humor, openness. Awareness. Every organization has its own way of working. It is important that there is a common culture in the organization which helps the employees of the organization from different backgrounds to communicate effectively. This requires awareness about the different cultures and patience to understand the way the employee can be motivated. Preparation. You need to be prepared at least in terms of greetings when you meet international colleagues. It is not necessary that you should know each and everything about their cultures, but the fact that you at least tried to communicate in their own culture shows the concern. Hugs, taps on the shoulder, and nods are common in some countries but may be considered as harassment in other countries. Language. Language is one of the most important parts of communication. Each country has its own language for the purpose of communication. India is such a vast country with diverse language across the country. You can roughly place them in a geographical region and a social or cultural grouping as soon as anyone talks. To avoid misunderstandings, it is very important to understand the language, be it verbal or non-verbal. It is not necessary that if you speak the same language, the problem of communication is solved. Like in India, if you are speaking in Hindi, it may have certain colloquial words too, which the other person who may also be speaking Hindi may not comprehend too. Humor. A saying goes that jokes do not translate the true meaning. It can be true at certain occasions where a humor in good sense can be taken seriously and may result in conflict. Therefore, it is important that in cross-cultural communication, unnecessary humor should be used with extreme caution, especially at the workplace. Openness. Apprehensive behavior is common, but there is no need to be shy about it. It is not a sign of weakness. Instead, it shows that you are cautious not to pass comments which may turn out to be inappropriate. However, it is important to be open while giving comments, and the feedback regarding the same may be requested. This will help you and your colleagues to connect with each other. The understanding of 5 elements of cross-cultural communication helps in building a strong and competitive organization. Organizations that are culturally competent have policies, strategies, and systems in place to promote and encourage effective cross-cultural interactions in all aspects of the human relations, including recruitment, hiring, and retention. Hofstede's Cultural Dimension Model. Gerd Hofstede and Edward T. Hall are the two of the most prominent contributors who have given some unique perspective on culture in their theories. We will now discuss these theories in details. Culture has been deeply explained by Edward Hall, an anthropologist and author of books like The Silent Language, The Hidden Dimension, Beyond Culture, Understanding Cultural Differences, etc., where he suggests that culture is a form of communication governed by hidden rules that involves both speech and actions. He termed culture as a vast unexplored region of human behavior that exists outside the range of people's conscious awareness. Hofstede defines culture as the collective programming of the mind distinguishing the members of one group or category of people from others. Based on research conducted in more than 50 countries, Hofstede identified a total of 6 dimensions which could be used to distinguish one culture from another. These are as follows. First, Power Distance Index. This index defines the degree of inequality that is accepted and actually exists within people of a particular culture. Cultures showing high scores have an unequal distribution of power across hierarchies. In countries like Malaysia, Mexico, Philippines, etc., having high power distance index scores, all actions have to be initiated from top. Guidance, advice, and directions flow initially from top to bottom. No initiation will happen bottom up. Decisions will also be concentrated at the top level of the organization. Business processes may take longer due to complex hierarchies. Status, age, power, seniority are respected, and the lower cadre individuals take orders on this basis. Subordinates do not take decisions or any initiative, instead will wait for orders to come from the superior. They will offer their suggestions only when asked for. Countries like Austria and Denmark with low PDI scores have societies where unequal distribution of power is not acceptable. Activities are delegated appropriately and decision-making is faster as decisions are taken by people who are directly affected by the decisions. This means that your questions will be answered faster or your issues will be resolved easily if you approach the right person. Second, individualism versus collectivism. This parameter makes an effort to measure the propensity towards attributing achievements and designing connections to an individual or a group. Societies high on individualism indicate that more importance is given to individuality. For instance, in a society with high scores on individualism, success as well as failure is attributed to an individual. On the other hand, in a society with the highest score on collectivism, there exist very close ties amongst members of the society. There exists high loyalty to the group which they represent. They take care of each other's benefits, decisions, and well-being. Countries like the USA, Australia, and United Kingdom are high on individualism, and hence communication has to focus on individual and not group, unlike in countries like Guatemala, Ecuador, Panama, etc., where communication benefiting groups would be appreciated more. Individual accomplishments are appreciated more on individualistic countries. Third, masculinity versus femininity. This attribute indicates who has the concentration of power and control in the society. It compares between a masculine work role model and a society which has low level of discrimination and distinction between genders. In masculine societies, men and women play different roles, with men being more assertive, play dominating defined roles and demonstrating success. Countries like Japan, Hungary, and Austria project high levels of masculinity. On the other hand, Sweden, Norway, Netherlands, etc. rank low on masculinity. Fourth, Uncertainty Avoidance Index. Countries can also be classified on the basis of Uncertainty Avoidance Index. This index is a measure of the level of ambiguity and uncertainty which is acceptable in the society. Countries low on UAI are more flexible and tolerant to a variety of ideas and opinions. Countries like Singapore, Sweden, Hong Kong, Denmark, etc. fall under this category. On the other hand, Belgium, Greece, Portugal, etc. are on the higher side of the UAI and hence do not tolerate uncertainty and ambiguity. Fifth, long versus short-term orientation. The fifth dimension, as suggested by Hofstede, is long-term orientation. This dimension defines the extent of commitment to the traditional values. Countries high on long-term orientation take a long time to change due to their long-term embracement and respect to the traditional values. This is what is evident in countries like China, Japan, South Korea, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. These countries invest in developing and maintaining long-term commitments and relationships. This is visible when they deal with their customers, other countries, employees, and all the other stakeholders. This orientation is very different in Turkey, Venezuela, UAE, and Switzerland, wherein the resistance to change is low and adoption and movement to novel things is swifter. They are eager to and less resistant to change. Sixth, indulgence versus restraint. Hofstede refers to indulgence as a tendency to free gratification of basic needs, enjoying, having fun, and fulfilling desires. Social freedom is high. Residents of countries like Venezuela, Mexico, Sweden, Puerto Rico, etc. are not motivated by materialistic drivers. They are not status conscious, freely fulfill their desires, don't compare, and are self-indulgent. Social status is of prime importance. Materialistic possessions and motivations allure the residents.
You are listening to audiobook by School of Management Studies IGNOU for MBA program. Course code MMPC-007 Business Communication. Block 4, Unit-14, Part-1. Course Coordinator Professor Neeti Agrawal from School of Management Studies IGNOU. Voiceover by Santosh Bharati. Edited by Tarannum Jahan. Program assisted by Jagbandhu Jana. And program produced by Manoj Kumar Singh. This program was brought to you by Electronic Media Production Center of Indira Gandhi National Open University.